A chillingly strange event is unfolding at the Feather Sect. On the majestic cloud peak, a figure clings to the cliff. High above the flight of eagles, a lone youth defies death. Determination burns in his eyes with every grueling inch. He scales the summit step by step, drenched in sweat. Below, a sea of disciples watches this madness in total shock. All eyes are fixed on the peak of Cloud Peak. Suddenly, a spectator gasps as they recognize the daring climber. It is the 18th divine son, Tan Shu, a total loser, a talentless boy who must climb because he cannot fly. Born with a mortal body, he is the sect's shame. Even with a legendary father, he remains a pathetic, flightless joke. He will likely lose his title at the upcoming assembly. All 18 elite geniuses will gather to crush him completely. An eagle perches on Tan Shu's messy hair as he dangles. He is suspended over the abyss, trembling on the edge. "This is not your nest," he snaps, waving the bird away. But his sudden movement causes his grip to fail him. A terrifying scream echoes as he falls into the void. It seemed the life of this loser had reached its end. Suddenly, a hand grips the ledge with a desperate strength. Tan Shu drags himself onto the summit, gasping like a dog. A mysterious system interface suddenly flashes before his weary eyes. Notification: you have successfully checked in at Cloud Peak. Congratulations! You have received the reward. The Eternal Motion Dantian. A divine artifact that defies the very laws of nature. Tan Shu leaps up, his exhaustion replaced by explosive power. This reward is an absolute game-changer. It is truly monstrous. This supreme treasure grants infinite spiritual energy to its master. Even the great emperors would tremble with envy for it. He sits cross-legged as a blinding light erupts from him. The supreme secret of the realms is finally being awakened. Spiritual energy for miles is violently pulled toward the peak. The disciples below watch in confusion as the heavens swirl. A massive sphere of energy envelopes the seated Tan Shu. The trash was evolving into something the world cannot contain. Infinite energy. It is real. He roars with pure joy. His power reservoir was now a bottomless, eternal ocean. He thinks back to his month as a pathetic failure. He was a transmigrator trapped in this weakling's body. Reborn with the system, he was the 18th divine son, a youth destined to flip the world on its head. Though born to a legendary hero, he was a disappointment. A genius bloodline that failed to produce any real talent. The original Tan Shu was a coward who hated training. A useless shell of a man who everyone loved to mock. "My past life's climbing skills finally paid off," he laughs. The first mission of his new legend was now complete. The system issues a new task. Check. In its special locations. The more dangerous the place, the more godlike the reward. He dreams of checking in daily for easy, legendary loot. A simple path to the top of the food chain. But there is one problem. He still does not know how to fly. Getting down from this height was a true nightmare. Suddenly, two figures on a flying sword streak through the air. The saintess of the 𝒁𝒑 sect has arrived in style. She is a peerless beauty, the only saintess of her sect. Her status is equal to a divine son, yet far more. Every genius dreams of winning her heart and her sect. Tan Shu waves her down, desperately calling for a ride. He boldly leaps onto her sacred sword, leaving her stunned. The shameless youth had just invited himself into her space. The elder is furious at his audacity, ready to strike. But the saintess pities the flightless boy and lets him stay. Then, he shamelessly grabs her waist with a tight grip. "The wind is too strong," he claims with a straight face. The elder draws her sword, her aura exploding like a dragon. She is ready to kill the shameless pervert on the spot. The saintess stops her, finding his presence strangely endearing and sweet. The elder is forced to suppress her burning murderous intent. They soar above the clouds, overlooking the vast Feather Sect. The world below is a beautiful, shimmering tapestry of light. A new system alert pings. Check. In point at Cloud Cliff. Tan Shu immediately asks the saintess to change their course. She was already heading there to study the ancient carvings. What a perfect coincidence, the crafty divine son muses. He hugs her tighter, ignoring the elder's deathly glares nearby. He was truly the most thick-skinned man in the world. She explains that the cliff holds the secrets of heaven, a place where the mysteries of the Tao are revealed. A massive crowd has gathered at the base of the cliff. The arrogant 11th divine son stands proudly at the front. "The saintess is coming today, because I personally invited her," he brags to the crowd, basking in their envious gazes. No man has ever earned her favor except for him, supposedly. The crowd whispers in awe of his legendary social standing. He continues to lie, claiming they are the best of friends. He scoffs at the other divine sons, calling them inferior. Suddenly, the crowd gasps as the saintess's sword finally appears. But their eyes widen in horror at the man hugging her. Who is that standing beside her? A man? 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒃 freezes in shock as the crowd below scrambles to see. They squint, whispering in disbelief. That face. It looks strangely familiar. From high above, 𝒂𝒂𝒏 gazes down at the swarm. A massive crowd has gathered. Suddenly, crisp system chimes echo in his mind. Check in at Cloud Cliff Stone. Success. Reward. Cultivation increased by 4 ranks. 4th stage body tempering reached. Complete comprehension of the stone's divine will acquired. As the final notification fades, a bolt of lightning tears through the sky. The saintess gasps, her heart racing in terror. Mastery. The sign of a completed technique. For a boy with 0 power, this is an impossible, legendary beginning. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 smirks at his sheer luck. They descend gracefully. The saintess shrinks her divine weapon back into a hairpin. She lands like a goddess. But 𝒂𝒂𝒏? He's rubbing his sore backside. Sword riding is definitely not as easy as it looks. The 18th divine son, 𝒂𝒂𝒏. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 roars, eyes burning with hatred. But 𝒂𝒂𝒏 only offers a mocking grin. He knows the game. In the evolution sect, every move is a trap. The competition among divine sons is a bloodbath. 18 rivals, but only one becomes the emperor's son. The losers? They face nothing but a tragic end. Fate is cruel here. This is a war of life and death. The weak are simply discarded. Sensing the tension, 𝒂𝒂𝒏 circulates his chi. Crimson light explodes around him. A monstrous phantom general towers behind his back, radiating a terrifying, murderous intent. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 doesn't even blink. Whatever the saintess and I do is none of your business. He pulls her close, arm around her shoulder. Right, little saintess sister? 𝒂𝒂𝒏's face turns purple with rage. He turns his gaze back to the cloud cliff. The saintess stares in awe. So this is the legendary holy ground of enlightenment. The 11th son quickly jumps in to impress her. I've spent years meditating here, he boasts. In this entire sect, aside from the ancient ancestors, he puffs out his chest with pride. No one understands this stone better than me. Legend says the sunset god king himself left his mark here. My master told me he was an unrivaled sovereign. A god king comparable to the ancient great emperors. He acts profound. Before he conquered the world, he was a top scholar, a master of the brush in the ancient kingdom. This divine calligraphy proves it. Only a god king could create such magnificent artistry on this cliff. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 snickers behind him. This loudmouth is just spewing nonsense to get the saintess's attention. What a pathetic show. Get lost, 𝒂𝒂𝒏 snaps. The saintess and I are busy here. You're not welcome. But 𝒂𝒂𝒏 stands his ground. He mocks the clown for misleading the saintess. Enraged, the 11th son sneers. Does our famous unlearned prince have a better opinion? Enlighten us then if you're so smart. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 steps forward with absolute confidence. Time to school this arrogant fool. Actually, this cliff belongs to your Jade Lake. It was created by one of your own saintesses, over 1,000 years ago. The saintess is puzzled, could he be mistaken? Her aunt scowls, ready to rebuke him. Stop your lies, our records say no such thing. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 laughs along, joining the mockery. But 𝒂𝒂𝒏 ignores them. Tell me, saintess, he continues calmly. Didn't Jade Lake lose a peerless genius a millennium ago? The immortal 𝒃𝒐𝒏? Her eyes widen. It's true. She vanished along with the central sun scripture. We only have 4 scriptures left because of that loss. It remains Jade Lake's greatest tragedy to this day. It started with an evolution sect ancestor. He and 𝒃𝒐𝒏 were deeply in love, but he chose his path over her. He left her to pursue power. Yet, his heart was plagued by inner demons. Chi deviation struck him down in the end. His soul withered away. Overcome with grief, 𝒃𝒐𝒏 stayed at this cliff, carving her eternal sorrow into the stone. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 claps sarcastically. What a lovely fairy tale you've invented. The saintess looks conflicted and uncertain. Her disappearance is just a rumor, she murmurs. There is no official record. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 scoffs loudly. Origins don't matter, he bellows. What matters is the technique I actually mastered here. The aunt nods in agreement. She glares at Tan Thu for being a liar and a creep. No one asked for his stories. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 takes a horse stance. Watch closely, Saintess. Tiny golden lightning sparks dance across his palms. He unleashes a flurry of lightning strikes. Each punch leaves a golden trail of light. It's a flashy, theatrical display. He finishes with a surge of electricity. Incredible, the Saintess exclaims. A technique that manifests such phenomena. Even a weak aura from this cliff is legendary. He feigns humility before the Saintess. But his ego is through the roof. That was barely a third of its true power. He turns to Tan Thu with a sneer. A pathetic mortal like you couldn't understand. Tan Thu just shakes his head in disgust. Is that it? Looks like a basic morning workout. Even a fan dance is better. He compares it to a street performance. Livid, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 roars a challenge. Let's see if your skills match your mouth. You want a show? Fine. Tan Shu sneered. Witness the first technique of the cloud cliff. Celestial thunder. A cyclone swirled around his fingertips. With a violent strike to the earth, a deafening explosion erupted. Lightning rained down like divine judgment. Everyone froze in shock. Since when did this pathetic loser possess such catastrophic power? 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 stared, his eyes bulging in utter disbelief. All 7 forms of celestial thunder. I'll show you every single one. Tan Shu's rage shook the heavens. Arcs of electricity coalesced into a mythical beast, leaving the Saintess absolutely breathless with awe. A gargantuan fire phoenix of pure lightning roared above him. The display was terrifyingly magnificent. As the energy dissipated, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 gnashed his teeth in bitter envy, stepping forward with a snarl. You thief! A failure like you couldn't possibly master the cloud cliff stone this quickly. Tan Shu shoved him aside and flicked a finger. A concentrated beam of qi shattered the stone wall. The rock crumbled, revealing a radiant glow. Inside lay the Sun Central scripture, shimmering with ancient light. Lost for 1,000 years, it was finally found. Tan Shu calmly handed the artifact to the Saintess. Her hands trembled. It is real. The 5 holy scriptures are finally complete at last. You are our savior, 18th godson. Please, accept my bow. Even her aunt stood there, humbled. Shame flushed the aunt's face. She had mistaken a hidden dragon for a mere worm. But the hero ignored their praise. He was too busy being a smooth operator with the Saintess. Than Nhi, little sister, he teased, cozying up to her. The Saintess's cheeks burned crimson red. Her aunt reached for her blade, tempted to slash the brat. Meanwhile, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 was fuming. Consumed by helpless rage, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏 stomped the ground. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the canyon. The cloud cliffstone collapsed on him. Luckily, his sturdy physique allowed him to flee in disgrace. After the bully vanished, our cheeky protagonist immediately turned back to the beautiful Saintess. Want to go for a stroll, little sister? The innocent girl almost agreed before her aunt intervened. Claiming they had to report the recovery, the aunt dragged her away at lightning speed. Suddenly, a system alert popped up. Sign in at the Eastern Peak ceremony. Tan Shu's eyes narrowed. Recalling the location, he leaped into the sky. This was the power of a 4th-level body realm. One jump cleared entire mountain peaks. Walking was officially a thing of the past for him. With his everlasting Dantian, his energy was bottomless. He could leap across the world forever. He reached the sect gate in seconds. Why walk when you can soar like a true god? Suddenly, a chubby man lunged, grabbing his leg mid-jump like he was catching a runaway thief. The impact shattered the pavement. The old man sat up, introducing himself as Old Dog. Monster! Tan Shu shouted, immediately charging his thunder technique to fry the strange creature. Terrified, the man screamed his name. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏. Wait! Your mother's statue has exploded, he blurted. Tan Shu delivered a swift kick. My mother what? Your whole family is the one that exploded. Nursing his jaw, Gu explained. The Queen Mother's statue blew up and injured the royal princes. Apparently, those royal brats lost a gamble and used sacred treasures to pay off their debts. They couldn't handle the divine radiance of the statue, causing a massive, catastrophic blast. Now, they were blaming him. Tan Shu's memories returned. These princes were his former childhood bullies. They had once tricked the useless Tan Shu into trading sect treasures for a group of beauties. And this 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒏? He was the middleman who had profited from Tan Shu's past misery. The seventh prince of the Moonwheel Empire was now demanding 3 divine artifacts as compensation. If not, they'd wage war. The sheer audacity of these entitled royals was truly infuriating. Gu begged for a solution, knowing the prince was a ruthless and incredibly arrogant tyrant. Tan Shu remained silent. Instead, he gathered lightning and tapped Gu's mouth with a spark. "Do I look like someone who can't fight back?" Tan Shu asked as the man rolled away. "Where did this power come from?" The old man stammered, scrambling to follow his new master. After meeting the spicy fairy 𝒃𝒄𝒏, our hero quickly realizes her temper is absolutely explosive. The old dog brags about his legendary seduction skills, promising he can tame any wild beauty. "Watch and learn," he says, then gets a bucket of water slammed right into his arrogant face. A flying table follows, sending the old master crashing. Tan Tu watches, questioning his mentor's expertise. Dead before the lesson even starts? Tan Tu sighs, ducking as a stunning but terrifying beauty appears. It is the notorious little demoness, the most aggressive girl the other princes dumped on poor Tan Thursday. As she pummels the master, Tan Tu steps out. "Stop! You are beating up my only friend." Realizing her mistake, the fierce warrior turns timid. This is the girl who used to hunt him. To her shock, Tan Tu offers a truce. "You are free," he says. "No more cooking for me." But instead of leaving, she gets clingy. "What? Are you no longer interested in my gorgeous body?" Our hero plays it cool. "I am a changed man now. A gentleman. Now go, before you are caught." When asked where she lives, she goes silent. Her answer? A confused, "I have no idea." Suddenly, she grabs his throat. "I don't care. You must take me home, no matter what." Gagging, Tan Tu agrees. "Fine. Just stay here until I find your house. Just stop choking me." The next day, he scales the cloud peak. With his new cultivation, the climb is a total breeze. Ding! The system rewards his effort. Peak reached. Sign-in successful. Preparing your massive reward now. His power skyrockets to the 4th stage. He repeats this on day 3, hitting stage 5 effortlessly. 2 more days of intense climbing and divine exercises push his cultivation to the 8th stage. He even unlocks the Heavenly Wolf Moon technique, a flight skill way cooler than just jumping around. This system is truly generous. Meanwhile, in the shadows, the 7th prince is plotting a sinister scheme. "Tuong Tuyen, your time as a spy is over," the prince sneers. It is time to strike. This muscle-bound 7th stage warrior thinks he is going after the 11th prince, but he is just a pawn. The real plan? Kill the 18th prince and frame the 11th. A perfect move to eliminate 2 rivals. The prince hands him a divine pill. "This will double your power," he lies with a grin. The spy is ecstatic, feeling invincible. But behind his back, an old elder watches with cold eyes. "He is a loose end, master," the elder whispers. "Once he is done, he might talk under pressure." The prince laughs. "In this sect, you cannot leave witnesses. That pill, it is not for power. It is pure poison." The elder shudders at his master's cruelty. Meanwhile, Tan Tu is confused. He is wondering about the system's great ceremony when a masked assassin suddenly leaps from the darkness. A blade flashes toward his neck. "Give me your life," the intruder screams, seeking easy blood. Tan Tu is not surprised. He knew the other princes would eventually send some pathetic bottom feeder. But this guy is weak. Tan Tu gathers his energy and delivers a devastating punch to the chest. The assassin flies 10 meters back. He is stunned. How can this useless loser have such insane strength? "Sorry," Tan Tu mocks. "I did not realize sect assassins were this fragile." "Did I hurt you?" Furious, the spy charges again, desperate for a kill. But Tan Tu does not even lift a finger. A massive bolt of lightning strikes from the sky, turning the assassin's hair into a charred mess. Trapped and desperate, the idiot swallows the divine pill, hoping for a miracle transformation into a god. Instead of power, he coughs blood. His insides feel like liquid fire, burning him from the heart out. With one final scream, he is gone. Tan Tu recognizes him, a man serving the 11th prince. A frame-up, Tan Tu realizes. The 11th prince is not this stupid. Someone else is pulling strings. Fate is cruel. When the elder reports the failure, the 7th prince is fuming with silent rage. The fool died before finishing the job? He sneers. He wanted the reward without the work. The elder suggests a new plan. Tanthu's father is away. This is our chance to steal the seal. 18 seals create the emperor's order. With it, he would be an invincible god among men. But the cunning prince hesitates. If we rush now, we will just be clearing the path for others. The lunar prince came for blood. Tanthu watched calmly. Next dawn, that old dog came sprinting back. He shouted of impending doom. Tanthu joked about his family, making the old man explode with rage. The 7th prince wanted revenge and the demoness back. Tanthu challenged him to try if he dared. He would gladly give her away. He then asked about news regarding the East Mountain Grand Ceremony. The search was failing. Aside from the 𝒃𝒂𝒂𝒏 assembly, a joint coronation was the only major event. 2 empires were uniting for a massive ceremony. Nothing else in the realm was significant enough to investigate. A lead at last. The event was at Mount Tai. Tanthu prepared to confirm his destiny there. He turned to leave, but the old dog panicked. The 7th prince was still waiting outside to fight. At the gate, a flying object zoomed past. Since 𝒃𝒂𝒏 arrived, flying humans were common in this manner. It was not a UFO, but definitely a person. The chaos reached a new level in the courtyard. They turned pale. The ground was covered in broken bodies. Servants lay everywhere, screaming in absolute, agonizing pain. Men clutched their legs, wailing. This was clearly the work of the mischievous little demoness, and no one else. She was thrashing the prince's men. A purple-haired royal in gold armor trembled, his mouth swollen and bloody. He insulted her, so she struck again. She demanded to be called the Butterfly Fairy from this moment. Witnessing her terrifying strength, Tanthu wondered how he ever managed to capture such a monster for himself. He helped the chubby prince up, feeling pity. The royal brat looked like a total, pathetic mess of a human. Yet he was a glutton for punishment. He stood up and brandished his sword, foolishly seeking a second round. Only Tanthu's words stopped him. He declared his goal: to humiliate the useless boy known as the 18th prince. "That trash is me," Tanthu replied. The prince jumped back 5 paces, suspecting a deadly, hidden trap. He retreated in fear, straight into the demoness. Fate was truly cruel to this arrogant and foolish royal brat. 1 blow later, he was floored. Defeated and broken, the prince finally agreed to sit and drink tea. But his pride was too great. The stubborn fool stood up again, demanding a formal duel against the protagonist. Tanthu's calm gaze infuriated him. He grabbed the collar, but a heavy hammer sound echoed through the air. "Touch my brother and you die," she warned. Terrified, he still insisted on testing Tanthu's power in battle. Tanthu unleashed heavenly thunder. The prince was charred black instantly, yet his stubborn spirit refused to surrender. He kept shouting challenges as lightning struck the house. It seemed the heavens were mocking his pathetic arrogance. Tanthu struck harder, remembering past bullying. Now, this broke royal dared to demand a debt from him? Only when the prince begged for mercy did he stop. Tanthu realized this royal made a perfect hostage. He planned to trade him for treasures and gold. Consider it mental compensation for all the years of mockery. Meanwhile, the 7th deity waited for news. He was certain his master plan was proceeding exactly as intended. But man proposes, God disposes. He was stunned to hear his brother was defeated and taken captive instead. Utterly disappointed, he could only wait. The next day, Tanthu and 𝒃𝒂𝒏 investigated the grand ceremony. They stopped before 7 floating islands. This was the core of the feather sect, shrouded in ancient mystery. Not even the 18 divine sons could train here. It was a restricted zone meant only for the elite. Created by 7 ancestors, only those chosen by the elders could ever set foot on these holy peaks. The top 3 divine sons were already there. While they spoke, 𝒃𝒂𝒏 stared at the islands in awe. Tanthu looked around, confused. He asked the old dog where the other demon girls had suddenly disappeared to. The old man pointed at 𝒃𝒂𝒏. She had declared herself the only mistress of the 18th prince's manor. She spent a fortune to send the others away. Tanthu was shocked. Where did she get the money? His predecessor had already gambled away every coin. The manor was supposed to be completely broke and empty. 𝒃𝒂𝒏 confessed she took a loan from the 4th deity, 𝒂𝒏. The news terrified them both. That man was a legendary tyrant who skinned people alive. He never showed mercy to anyone who owed him. They needed to return her home immediately. But then, the final bombshell dropped on the poor Tan Thursday. She had signed his name on the debt. Suddenly, A massive explosion shook the entire region with blinding light. Blinding light erupted from the floating islands, vibrating through the heavens. The real game was finally about to begin. A massive breakthrough? No. It's just the disciples soaring past on their blades. The third divine son has ascended at Moon Island. A legendary quest triggers now. Destination: Moon Prefecture, Floating Island. This mission is lethal, but the loot is God tier. Stone gates creak open. Purple radiance spills forth after years of silent, lonely cultivation. Li Daoran, the third divine son, finally emerges. He descends like a god to the masses. Swirling purple energy forces the weak to their knees. His aura is absolutely suffocating, but our heroine just scoffs. To her, geniuses like this are just common street dogs. Even Tan Thu agrees. He smirks as the arrogant prodigy finally catches his eye. The legendary trash, Daoran sneers. Tan Thu bites his tongue, eyeing the floating sanctuary. Daoran demands the divine seal, mocking the boy for having zero hope of winning. Come and take it, Tan Thu bluffs. The original owner lost it long ago, reincarnated and empty-handed. He realizes this genius is just a persistent, annoying pest. Daoran offers a fake invitation, then flies off alone. What a petty, cowardly move. Tan Thu doesn't need wings. One explosive stomp shatters the earth, launching him skyward. Soaring 1,000 meters, he uses the old servant as a human stepping stone. Physics? Who cares? He takes one more leap off the old man's back. A perfect superhero landing. Daoran isn't impressed by his freeloading tactics at all. Pathetic, Daoran spits. Suddenly, the system chimes. The impossible quest is officially complete. Reward: the solar divine body. The harder the mission, the more insane the prize. This place is paradise. Spiritual energy is 10 times thicker than the world below. A buzz-cut thug jumps out. Clearly a puppet sent by the third divine son. Too slow, Tan Thu blurs, delivering a devastating kick to the punk's solar plexus. Physicality failed? Then witness my illusions. The thug unleashes a lethal moonblade. Weak. Tan Thu forms a seal, summoning a mysterious lunar orb to counter. A spirit beast erupts, crushing the blade in its jaws. The thug finally trembles. It's a divine beast apparition. In this moment, the hunter has become the prey. The beast snaps at his heels. Seeing his pawn fail, Daoran finally intervenes. Witness the moon spirit physique. Darkness swallows the sun in a terrifying instant. An ominous, giant moon rises, bathing the entire island in a murderous, cold chill. Day turns to night. Everyone below watches in horror as the sky turns pitch black. Panic sets in. The moon spirit body wields the raw, crushing power of heaven. Tan Thu is finished, they cry. The pressure alone is enough to kill. Kneel, Daoran roars. The ground collapses under the sheer weight of his aura. Tan Thu refuses. He ignites the solar divine body, a power truly beyond imagination. A pillar of fire pierces the void. A miniature sun forms above his head. True solar flame. Daoran's darkness begins to melt under the searing holy heat. The blinding light returns, forcing every witness to shield their eyes in pure awe. Who saved him? They wonder. But the old servant knows the glorious truth. All hail the 18th divine son. The sun god has returned to rule. Daoran's pride is shattered. His moon physique is completely suppressed by Tan Thu's light. Desperate, he gathers his remaining energy for one final, lethal, and silent strike. Stop! A thunderous voice echoes as a blinding golden radiance descends from above. Ancestor Yang Ming appears. Sitting on a lotus, his presence crushes all nearby. Even Tan Thu freezes. Below, thousands fall to their knees in frantic worship. The ancestor came for one thing: Tan Thu and his legendary, awakened solar body. He finally qualified for the ancestor's tutelage. The sect shook. This hadn't happened in 500 years. Ancestor Yang Ming reigns supreme above all others. Now, Tan Thu ascends toward the Yangqi floating island. Li Dao stood abandoned, his heart fueled by bitter rage. But villains like him always face a brutal end. At the Ascension sect's heart, a pillar of solar true fire erupted from the legendary floating palace. As Tan Thu bowed, the ancestor spoke. The sun divine body, a miracle unseen for 10,000 years. The ancestor handed over the island's supreme command token. From today, you are the master of this realm. Be bold and dominate the heavens, the ancestor urged. Never let the prestige of this palace fade. Tan Thu gripped the token, his eyes blazing with resolve. Your disciple shall obey and conquer, ancestor. Meanwhile, the third divine son received the news. The useless Tan Thu had hidden a world-shattering trump card. This sudden rise shocked the heavens. Master, the advisor whispered, we must strike now, according to the plan. But the divine son smirked. Patience. The higher he climbs, the more spectacular his eventual fall will be. A trash ascending to the floating island? Envy would poison the sect. The real show was just beginning. At the 11th son's palace, a feral heavenly leopard roared only to be sliced in half by a cold blade. Driven mad by jealousy, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂 slaughtered his own pet to vent his boiling, pathetic frustration. Tan Thursday, he hissed. A sinister and excruciating trap was now being laid for the rising star. Far away in the Moonwheel Empire, a stunning princess clashed with a gargantuan golden eagle beast. To her, the beast was a mere toy. One graceful kick shattered the eagle into 7 bloody pieces. She was the 9th princess, a peerless genius, destined to dominate the coming great war of emperors. As the beast fell, a young noble approached, offering a giant spirit pill as a tribute to her. It was Prince Lam Vu, but his grand gift was nothing to her. She dismissed him with icy politeness. Rest for a few days, then leave, she stated coldly, her heart seeking someone far more powerful. A mere prince wasn't enough. Only a titan like the third divine son could ever claim her heart. Learning her brother was in trouble, she set her sights on the Ascension sect to stage a rescue. The pathetic prince begged to follow, but she vanished into the clouds without sparing him a single glance. Soaring toward the sect, she planned to demand an ice spirit pill, a treasure second only to immortality. With that divine herb, her ice jade body would finally evolve into the legendary Solar King Constitution. Now the lord of the floating island, Tan Thu moved in with his loyal followers and the old dog. The old dog was ecstatic. Master, this island isn't just land, it's a supreme, world-defying treasure trove. The ancestor must think you're the son of a great emperor. The dog barked, sensing the island's power. Old Dog explained that ancestor Yang Ming was an obsessive collector of the rarest artifacts in existence. Every item here defies the heavens, the dog whispered. Even the fabled immortality herb is hidden here. Tan Thu's heart raced. After 15 days of intense cultivation, he completed a secret sign-in mission. His reward? A divine martial vein pill. It was time to shatter his limits and reach the martial realm. At the mountain gates, the princess arrived, determined to reclaim her brother and the spirit stones. The old dog trembled as the princess demanded, "Where is that useless trash holding my brother hostage?" "Watch your tongue," the dog warned. He led her toward the peak where Tan Thu was currently undergoing a terrifying physical transformation. To reach the martial realm, one's spirit chi must flood every cell, forging an indestructible divine body. The sheer power of his new realm would depend entirely on the magnitude of the chi consumed. Suddenly, a colossal pillar of light descended from the heavens, blinding everyone with its sheer, divine intensity. The princess froze in awe. A master is breaking through. But this level of power is impossible. My own chi pillar was merely the size of an arm, she stammered. But this is monstrous. I have never witnessed such a heaven-shaking breakthrough. Could the sect's #1 genius be here? Impossible. Even for a genius like me, my spirit pillar is barely arm-thick. Yet his martial realm awakening is colossal. This earth-shattering power is unprecedented. Could he be the greatest prodigy the Yuhua sect has ever seen? Halt! He watched intently. Exhausted, she lunged out, conjuring her frozen jade armor to shield herself in ice. The main character, Qin Shu, stood firm, igniting his sun body and fusing it with heavenly thunder. The temperature skyrocketed, blinding her with light as her icy defenses began to melt away. A bolt of divine lightning struck, shattering the ice and leaving Ming Yuyet screaming in pain. Realizing she was outmatched, she fled toward the third prince, desperately seeking his protection. Qin Shu watched her go, knowing she'd return, and waited calmly outside the palace gates. Ming Yuyet dreamed of charming the third prince. Convinced her royal status made her irresistible. Guards blocked her path, announcing the prince was in seclusion, but the arrogant princess refused. Annoyed by the noise, Li Daoran had no choice but to summon the stubborn princess inside. He feigned joy at her visit, but she immediately demanded he seek revenge for her. She ordered him to crush the prince, reminding Li Daoren of his own burning, bitter hatred. "Are you mocking me?" he roared, while she frantically tried to explain her unintentional insult. She begged for a rare ice spirit herb, unaware her greed was fueling his growing rage. He had no treasures to give, unlike Qin Shu, who controlled the entire island's vast fortune. Seething with jealousy, Li Daoren blasted her away, wanting the princess out of his sight. Humiliated and alone, she realized she had now offended both of the sect's powerful princes. With no options left, she flew back to Qin Shu's palace to save her captive brother. Qin Shu was casually playing chess with Bai Ke, surprised by her masterful and clever moves. She boasted of her worldly skills before making the final move to end the game. As she claimed her wine prize, the old servant announced the 9th princess had finally arrived. Right on schedule, Qin Shu smirked, ordering the guards to bring the desperate girl inside. That artifact was now a supreme treasure, worth more than a divine empire or emperor's soul. Clutching the ice herb, she agreed to pay 100 times the price with icy pride. She demanded one final condition, but he countered by demanding she surrender her own dignity. "Kneel and beg," he commanded, knowing her royal arrogance would never allow such a thing. "I am a high princess," she screamed, but his overwhelming divine aura crushed her to the floor. As she fell, a golden decree descended from the heavens, glowing with ancient, celestial power. The scroll summoned all 18 princes to the divine palace for an urgent, high-level gathering. It was the supreme will of the feathered sect, a command that no one dared disobey. At the gates, the guards bowed low to the 18th prince, showing him newfound, deep respect. He tossed them precious holy fruits, earning their eternal loyalty with a single generous act. The guards swore to kill anyone who dared slander their young master's noble name again. Inside, the masked princes mocked Qin Shu, calling him a useless trash with no rightful place. "Cowards," Qin Shu retorted, challenging any of the masked geniuses to step forward and fight. Silence filled the hall as no one dared move, until a powerful voice shook the temple. From the throne, a grand presence appeared, ready to announce a matter of grave importance. To their shock, the sect's overseer was actually a massive, talking golden parrot of legend. The bird announced that Qin Shu had recovered the Sun Sutra, lost for 10,000 years. With 5 scriptures united, the sect prepared to host the legendary Yaoqi Holy Banquet once more. This sacred feast hadn't happened in 500 years, and every genius hungered for entry. The number of immortality peaches was strictly limited, making the invitation list extremely exclusive. Despite their power, the sect only received 3 spots for this legendary, god-tier gathering. A single bite of those 1,000-year peaches could skyrocket cultivation and grant eternal life. Choosing only 3 from the elite princes would be a brutal and legendary test of strength. Mockery filled the air as they sneered at Tan Thursday. "He'll be out first," they jeered, focused only on the top 3. But system rewards at the peak were drying up. This sacred trial was his only chance for a legendary breakthrough, a temporary quest for a massive payout. He just had to endure until the great ceremony began. The trash talkers wouldn't stop barking until the divine bird snapped. "Silence!" it roared, ending their pathetic chatter. The trial began with the origin orb, a divine vessel capable of storing endless spiritual energy. Cultivation rank matters, yes, but true power is forged through destiny and secret foundations. This orb would reveal the absolute truth, the raw, unfiltered strength of a warrior's soul. Jealousy flared as the trash held his ground. Haters screamed cheater, unable to fathom his impossible endurance. He ignored their pathetic buzzing. With a cold gaze, he issued a challenge that turned the hall silent. It was time for a lesson in vocal combat. He taunted the divine sons for being spineless cowards. "Are you legends or just scared children?" Finally, a golden-clad warrior snapped and stepped forward. 2 more joined the fray, blinded by rage, only to be crushed instantly like the fools before them. Fear began to ripple through the crowd. He shifted tactics, baiting the most arrogant predators into his trap. Betting his own divine title, he triggered their greed. 7 more geniuses fell right into his net. The half-hour struggle was brutal. The weak-willed began to beg for an early exit. Time ran out for 6 more losers. Only 6 elite schemers remained standing in the Great Hall. These survivors were cunning snakes. He decided to pick them off one by one, starting with a debt. He called out the 14th son, but only silence answered. Had he already been broken? These elites weren't easily fooled. The divine bird watched the escalating drama with pure excitement. To spice up the slaughter, the bird acted. 10 times gravity, it chirped, making the air heavy as lead. Terror gripped the survivors as their essence was drained. Spiritual veins bulged and screamed under the pressure. One collapsed, unconscious and broken. But Tanthu just smiled, asking for another tenfold increase. He wanted them utterly withered. Yet 2 stubborn leeches managed to cling on for dear life. The top 3 were officially decided. But the bird wanted a legendary finale for the ages. The last one standing wins the Origin Orb, a prize that could shake the very heavens. A treasure of the great emperor himself. Possessing it meant rewriting one's entire destiny. Activating his perpetual Dantian, he let loose. A pillar of light erupted, shaking the foundations of the world. His rivals were blasted away, spitting blood. The orb was his, and his alone. Enraged, they demanded his secret. But he just laughed. He was fair and square, after all. Humiliated and empty-handed, they retreated. Their pride was shattered by the man they once mocked. He turned to the bird, realizing its power. Befriending this parrot was the key to the entire sect. The bird admired his shameless audacity. It revealed the orb held a hidden, world-shaking fortune. Rumors whispered of its terrifying origins. An ocean of energy was now at his fingertips. He tested a single drop of its power. A devastating blast vaporized everything in its path. Pure, unadulterated destruction. He would merge this orb with his Dantian to reach godhood. The brutal trial had ended in mere hours. A quick harvest of glory for the new king. Back at the manor, he revealed the truth. He had crushed all 17 divine sons single-handedly. The stubborn princess refused to believe it. To her, he was still just a worthless trash talking big. Suddenly, a wealthy-looking man arrived. It was the 14th divine son, 𝒂𝒊𝒏. He roared with laughter, congratulating the champion. You truly are the #1 under the heavens. The princess paled, her world spinning. Every word the trash said was the cold, hard truth. But Chu wasn't just there for praise. He came to settle a debt, and he wanted it now. Using the princess's own spirit stones, Tanthu laughed. Pay the man what he's owed. 50 stones plus 20% interest. 60 total. But Chu grinned. His math was much, much higher. 60 spirit stones total? He flatly refuses. He mocks the elder's speed, claiming the interest was calculated completely wrong. That greedy merchant actually demanded an exponential hourly rate. What a scheming little devil he was. Enraged by the scam, she smashed a hammer against his skull. Surprisingly, only his hat shattered into pieces. Even Tanthu was stunned. After crushing the 7th prince, this guy proved to be the ultimate human shield. Fuming with rage, he demanded 110,000 spirit stones, or the origin sphere, as compensation immediately. You've never been beaten because you haven't met me, Tanthu scoffed, manifesting his origin sphere right then. The villain's eyes sparkled with greed, thinking Tanthu had surrendered. But his smug grin vanished instantly. The sphere erupted in chaotic flames. Tanthu had rigged it to explode with a sudden, lethal chi beam. Sent flying, he screamed. How dare you sneak attack me? Tanthu replied. This is a fair, open beating. He unleashed a relentless barrage of chi until the bully started coughing blood, finally begging for his life. Let's negotiate, he whimpered. Tanthu glared. Do you still have the guts to demand my debt now? He shoved the sphere into the boy's face, making him tremble. Fine. No interest, no debt. Please just stop. Since I owe you nothing. Tanthu smirked. It's time for you to pay your debt to me instead. You trespassed into my hall and disrespected a divine son. Plus, you traumatized this poor little creature here. He pointed at Bai Zhuo, who was casually munching on herbs. Realizing her cue, she suddenly went into actress mode. Tossing her fruit aside, she wailed, Oh, my chest, my head, my legs. Everything hurts so much. I'm dying. The antagonist gasped. He only said you were scared. Where did all this physical trauma come from? You want my divine son status? Tanthu sneered. Since you're here, I'll be taking yours instead today. Never. I will never give it to you. But the old dog chuckled, revealing a hidden sect rule. In the Ascension sect, divine sons compete. Defeating one another isn't a crime, it's simply survival of the fittest. Then let's test that theory, Tanthu declared. The boy paled, stammering about his powerful family's protection. My family's elites will hunt you down, he threatened. Tanthu just laughed, his eyes cold and mocking. You have experts? Well, I have ancestor Yang Ming backing me. Who would dare touch me now? Channeling immense true fire energy, he blasted 𝒂𝒏 away with a single, devastating strike of power. Spitting blood and near death, the bully surrendered. Suddenly, a golden treasure manifested right above his trembling head. It was the Divine Sun token, glowing with ancient authority. Tan Thu wondered how it was physically bound. There's a soul link, the bully explained quickly. Just use your mind to claim it. Then, he bolted away. You'll pay for this, he cursed internally. Even without the token, their soul connection gave him hope for revenge. Witnessing the carnage, the princess trembled and apologized profusely for her previous arrogance toward the Divine Sun. An apology isn't enough, Tan Thu countered. You shall join my harem as a servant from now on. Despite her royal blood, she knew she was nothing to him. She submitted, but cheered up receiving rare herbs. The seventh prince regained consciousness and immediately started barking, demanding Tan Thu kneel and beg for forgiveness again. His own sister slapped him across the face. Apologize to my master right now, she commanded him sternly. Has this loser brainwashed you? He yelled. But the princess unleashed a chilling aura of absolute cold fury. The 18th Divine Sun's majesty is absolute. I won't allow a fool like you to insult him. The seventh prince stared in disbelief. Was this really his arrogant, peerless sister bowing down to a useless boy? My pride is unmatched, yes, she declared. But before the Divine Sun, I willingly bow my head in submission. Defeated, the prince fled back to the ancient kingdom, where he met the formidable Crown Prince Lin. He stole my sister. She was pure as jade, but now she's just that loser's lowly handmaiden. He must have used forbidden dark arts on her. Prince Lin's eyes narrowed as he heard of the upcoming assembly. Plotting his revenge, Prince Lin began his preparations. Meanwhile, Tan Thu and his crew arrived at the 𝒂𝒑𝒏 sacred grounds. It looked ordinary at first glance. However, the old dog began explaining the legendary history of this fallen paradise. This place once floated in the heavens, birthing great emperors before a catastrophic event brought it crashing down. Yet, its waters still heal all wounds. The island at the center holds the ultimate treasure, the Wugan water. One sip grants eternal youth. Suddenly, the system pinged. New task, sign. In at the Wugan spring immediately. Time limit, 2 hours. With no time to waste, Tan Thu stepped into the main hall to claim his prize. The 7th and 11th Divine Suns finally reveal themselves. The Saintess personally welcomes the arrogant 𝒂𝒂𝒏. Obsessed with his previous loss to Qin Shu, he prepares a lavish gift to reclaim the Saintess's favor. The 7th Divine Sun watches silently. Nothing escapes his sharp gaze, yet he remains a mere side character. Qin Shu spots his dear sister, Than Nhi, and immediately pulls her into a tight, shameless embrace. Infuriated by this bold display, the rival vows to eliminate the shameless Qin Shu once and for all. Qin Shu ignores the glare, leading the Saintess toward the rootless water while tracking the silent 7th Prince. Suddenly, a violent roar shatters the air as a swirling azure vortex crashes into the earth. From the dust emerges the legendary Chilean Saint Sun, the third-ranked genius among the rising generation. Radiating pure arrogance, he ignores the Divine Suns entirely and marches straight into the sacred hall. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 fumes at the insult. How dare this brat look down on everyone like ants? The 7th Prince laughs, explaining that the Qilin tribe views all human cultivators as mere inferior insects. Dismissing the drama, Qin Shu searches for his ally, Bai Zhuok, but finds the old man has vanished. Left with no choice, he heads toward the rootless pool alone, leaving the bickering crowd far behind. Watching from the shadows, 𝒂𝒂𝒏 grins. Without protection, Qin Shu is a lamb to the slaughter. His plan is simple: seal Qin Shu's sun divine body and steal it to become an unstoppable great emperor. Navigating the lush terrain, Qin Shu finally arrives at the breathtaking, gravity-defying rootless water pool. Floating spheres of liquid surround the ancient staircase. As he nears, a surge of spirit energy erupts. A powerful barrier flings him back. It seems this sacred site requires no guards. The water protects itself. Suddenly, the system chimes. Reward: forbidden supreme skin and the legendary dragon elephant prison strength technique. He activates his new power, feeling life force surge like 1,000 stampeding beasts within his veins. With a single stomp, the indestructible stone floor shatters. This power is truly beyond the divine realm. Suddenly, A lethal streak of light pierces through him. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉's ambush has officially begun. The servant sneers, believing a single blow killed the trash who caused his master so much trouble. But as he reaches for the corpse, a devastating kick sends the servant flying across the clearing. 𝒃𝒐𝒏 scoffs, dusting himself off. Did this fly really think a toothpick could scratch his supreme skin? He snatches the enemy's sealing artifact. If it's worth a fortune, it belongs to the main character now. That sneak attack was dangerous, but his new forbidden physique turned a fatal wound into a mere itch. The servant refuses to yield, conjuring a storm of lightning to incinerate everything in his path. Unfazed, 𝒃𝒐𝒏 manipulates the lightning into a sphere, condensing the energy into a massive firewolf. The flaming beast swallows the servant whole, but the guard barely survives by depleting his inner energy. As the servant tries to boast, 𝒃𝒐𝒏 loses patience and readies his most devastating move yet. Dragon Elephant Prison Strength. A titanic phantom elephant descends, crushing the servant deep into the bedrock. With his pawn defeated, 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉 steps forward, drawing his shimmering, razor-sharp long-wind blade. This sword was forged within a true dragon's body, nourished by dragon blood for 1,000 years. This is my family's supreme treasure. You should feel honored to die by this holy dragon steel. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉 unleashes a true dragon sword intent, a literal forest of blades targeting 𝒃𝒐𝒏's vitals. 𝒃𝒐𝒏 leaps into the air as countless swords lock onto him with a terrifying, homing precision. They chase him like relentless hounds. Even with his speed, these blades are persistent and incredibly fast. Finally, he erupts with full mana, shattering the sword intent. Just a fragment of that blade is terrifying. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉 brags he'll win in 3 seconds, but his timing is off, leaving him wide open. 𝒃𝒐𝒏 fires a massive primeval orb, a pillar of pure energy that sends the villain coughing blood. 3 seconds are up. Hand over your life or your sword. Terrified, 𝒂𝒂𝒏 surrenders his legendary Longwen. 𝒃𝒐𝒏 absorbs the sword's essence, fueling his orb. As 𝒂𝒂𝒏 tries to flee with hollow threats, 𝒃𝒐𝒏 stops him cold. You tried to kill me, and now you're leaving without paying for my trauma? 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉 attempts a desperate counter, only to be crushed by the weight of 1,000 dragons. Facing instant defeat, the coward considers a desperate struggle, but fear of pain wins out. He helplessly surrenders the divine artifact. The 7th divine son emerges from the shadows he had been lurking, watching the entire play unfold. Seeing the 11th son critically wounded, he delivers a ruthless strike through the heart, finishing him with a single finger. 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒉 wipes his hands with a smirk, one threat eliminated, and the perfect scapegoat 𝒃 𝒂𝒏 will take the blame. He thinks his crime is hidden from the world. Little does he know, every move was witnessed. 𝒃 �𝒏 had deployed a spirit capture orb. The scheming 7th son was caught red-handed. Meanwhile, the temple erupts in chaos. Within the soul hall, the life orbs begin to shatter. The 11th son's soul light explodes, sending shockwaves through the entire sect. Then, the 12th son's orb also cracks. Panic spreads like wildfire. 2 divine sons have fallen. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 returns wearing a mysterious mask. Her suspicious behavior is hard to ignore. She dodges his questions with playful banter, but 𝒃 �𝒏's mind is elsewhere. A major announcement from the Holy Assembly has arrived. Beyond the Peach Feast, a unique prize awaits. One lucky man will be chosen to share a ritual bath with the saintess. It is an ancient tradition of Jiao Tree. As the saintess matures, she must select a partner, a youth of supreme talent for the baptism. Only through dual cultivation in the pure water pool can the chaotic energies be balanced. Once complete, the saintess will transcend into a true goddess. 𝒃 �𝒏 clenches his fists. He won't let anyone steal his little sister. Suddenly, a harsh voice interrupts their conversation. The 7th prince and Prince Lam arrive. They immediately target 𝒃 �𝒏's loyal servant, mocking the old man for serving a useless master. They order their thugs to teach the old man a lesson, showing absolutely no respect for 𝒃 �𝒏's presence. 𝒃 �𝒏's eyes blaze with fury. Are you blind? Or do you just have a death wish? He acknowledges the old man's shady past. But in this life, the servant has been nothing but loyal. 𝒃 �𝒏 declares his protection over the old man. Dirty tricks and threats won't work on him anymore. Prince Lam threatens the old man's family back home. The servant trembles in genuine terror. Despite his fear, the servant refuses to insult his master. The 7th prince steps up to deliver a final threat, but a shadow looms behind him. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 swings a massive hammer, delivering a crushing blow to his skull. 3 hits from this, and you'll be a complete idiot. She warns them to back off while they still can. 𝒃 �𝒏 delivers a stinging slap to Prince Lam. No one insults his people and walks away unscathed. Enraged, Lam summons the terrifying Elder Huang, a master who survived the 18 levels of hell. Huang possesses a forbidden technique, a cursed art designed to drain a cultivator's very soul. Once caught, the victim is reduced to a husk. "Young master, be careful," the old man cries out. Suddenly, a young boy runs toward them, Lak Quan Daur, a kid Tun Thu used to educate with magazines. The boy asks to borrow more adult literature. Tun Thu quickly covers his mouth in total embarrassment. The past owner's reputation is truly a disaster. Now he has to carry this shameful legacy. He remembers this boy was born under an unlucky star, a fellow troublemaker from his past life of debauchery. A cold voice rings out as Lak Van approaches. She tells her brother to stay away from the trash. She blames Tun Thu for corrupting the boy, especially after the incident with the stolen spirit jade. The boy begs his sister to spare Tun Thu, but her eyes remain filled with icy hatred. The grudge runs deeper than just bad influence. Tun Thu holds the elixir her mother left behind. She needed it to break through her bottleneck, but the old Tun Thu ate it like candy. She'd love to see him destroyed today. Elder Huang offers a deal with arrogant confidence. "Survive one strike, and I'll let you live." Tun Thu scoffs at the challenge. "I could do this all day, but I'm in a hurry." In an instant, the elder unleashes a massive orb of energy. A crushing pressure descends upon Tun Thu. But Tun Thu remains unfazed. His artifact begins to devour the elder's power, sucking him dry in seconds. Shocked and desperate, the elder breaks his word. He draws a lightning blade for a lethal follow-up. "I thought you said only one move, old man." Tun Thu mocks his pathetic lack of honor. Facing public humiliation, the elder is forced to retreat, but the princes aren't done yet. Blinded by rage, they demand a true duel, a final wager where one strike settles everything. Facing these three persistent pests, I knew they wouldn't back down without a fight. Why bully the weak? But they offered legendary bribes I couldn't refuse. Spirit stones and dragon jade? Idiots. They're paying me just to get crushed. Fine, I'll indulge you. Elder Huang braced himself, arrogantly demanding my full power. I condensed my spiritual aura into 2 razor-sharp sword intents and launched them. Exactly as planned, Elder Huang unleashed his divine art to absorb my energy. He drained my sword intent, then hungrily began siphoning the power from my body. It looked like I'd lost control. My companion panicked, fearing I'd be drained dry. The elder gloated. "Beg for your life, and maybe I'll stop this soul-draining art." I just smiled. This evil art was pathetic. I wanted to feel true exhaustion, so I fed him more. Much more. I flooded his body with overwhelming energy. His body swelled like a balloon, unable to contain the sheer volume of my power. Terrified, he tried to stop, but I sent 2 more massive waves of aura. Boom! He exploded into mist. The 2 young lords stood frozen in absolute horror. Prince Lam roared in fury, but my holy sword ended his life instantly. Only the 7th prince remained, trembling like a leaf after witnessing that slaughter. He fell to his knees, kowtowing for mercy. Seeing his fear, I spared him. We reached the cloud abyss, a sacred land born from the essence of divine waters. This place held the great Tao's secrets, the site for the legendary peach banquet. The crowd stirred as the Qilin Holy Sun and the Saintess made their entrance. He was hailed as a peerless genius, the only one worthy of the Saintess. While the Saintess looked troubled, the Holy Sun basked in his own perceived glory. He cornered her with arrogant intentions, but I stepped in to shatter his momentum. I used a petty excuse to challenge him, effectively saving the Saintess from him. Enraged, the Holy Sun prepared to strike, but the Holy Mother arrived just then. She declared that whoever desired the Saintess must first pass the sacred trials. The ceremony began. Aside from the baptism, the peach banquet was the main event. These 1,000-year peaches were legendary, granting immortality and massive power leaps. Their divine aroma filled the air, making every cultivator present drool with greed. Only 18 precious fruits existed, each a treasure beyond any medicinal pill. The grandest was the divine peach, nearly equal to an immortal elixir of life. It was reserved for the strongest, like the Qilin Holy Sun, who smirked arrogantly. Beside me, my companions urged me to seize a fruit while watching the clouds. Enlightenment here triggers the tree's growth and reveals the secrets of the Tao. Only the one who grasped the laws of heaven and earth could claim the prize. The Holy Sun mocked me, promising to give me his leftovers like scraps. But the Holy Mother spoke up, revealing a special exception made just for me. This world is still a mystery. I wondered if this would be my first failure. Seeing my hesitation, my lady stepped forward. Fine, I'll handle this mess myself.